share you. This stuff came about from being in the location of all these talks. Yeah. Now, I've been at more Paul Hedderman talks than anyone else. So, thousands of them. I've had. And as the talk's going on, I have no sense that it's me completely, which is beautiful. Something comes through, yeah? But this comes after, and it's not 2 levels below a coconut. It can observe, and so it observes like how this thing does its little thing, you know, thousands and thousands of times. So it's picked up some things, and one of the things it picked up is because it believed I was giving you the message. It's not that way. The message is meant to be thrown over your head, yeah, because we're aiming at everywhere, yeah, which means it's everywhere. So we're aiming it at everywhere, not a special somewhere. Because I realized, watching it all these years, it doesn't go anywhere if I talk to you about the Buddha. It goes really somewhere if I talk to Buddha about you. Yeah? So that's the first thing. So the message isn't to you nor from me. Yeah, it isn't. Just don't, because we're so anthropomorphic, we have to believe everything is us, but it isn't. Something. We are like, just like those mental winds can take you over, other winds can take you over and then use you. And what I've noticed over the years, that which is using this opportunity, and it's not a thing, and this is not a thing, but it's, I gotta draw a picture, so. See, a lot of times we get into like a puritanical idea of non-duality, which takes all the artistry out of it. It just makes it so fucking bland, you know? So, to paint the picture, this comes through. And what I found over years of it coming through, it has nothing to do with this condition. Nothing at all. This condition could be totally sick, it could be in joy, it could be waiting to hear if it has AIDS, it could have no money, it could have whatever. You know, my girlfriend just left me 2 minutes before the talk. If this thing is willing to sit here, something comes through. It's like a mailman, in a sense. Day, night, sleet, snow, doesn't fucking matter. The condition of this, it's gonna come through. Maybe it'll stop one day, but it hasn't yet. Yeah? So it's very clear it has nothing to do with me, because you would think if the talk was based on my condition, there wouldn't be a talk a lot of the time, because my condition was bad. Yeah. So there isn't like a get ready, get set, go room that we get prepared. I wasn't up at 6 this morning preparing for this talk. I show up, and then I show up, and then it happens. So what? It doesn't matter. So it's not, all right, I've got to get ready. No, I don't have to look anyway. I don't have to speak anyway. I don't have to have any monotone, loving gaze. It doesn't fucking matter. This comes through, I hope. I know because I've seen it. I know when the spiritual subpoena has been served. Yeah, I know. So that's the first point. The second point is, and it's not first and second. The next point is that the movement of the head, yeah, the mental processes and their intent, I don't know why or what, but there's a certain intent to it. Its movement is to claim, yeah? So the mental state arises after things happen and claims to be the one they happen to or the one that did it, yeah? It's a one heist, here you go, hon. It's one heist, yet it duplicates itself millions of times. It's one heist, and the heist is in time. It can only work with time, yeah? So that which comes, so here's the basic interface is we're all in seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Yeah? We're in conscious contact with this dreaming. And the seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching doesn't seem to have any volition in it. See, if my eyes are open, I'm going to see what's out there. And even if I took a vow never to see it, if a bird flies by, I'm going to see it. Yeah? And I'm going to hear a lot of sounds. It's not like, all right, I'm only picking up one station. No, you're going to hear a lot of different stations. Yeah? And so that's the conscious contact. That's the basis of what's happening here. The mental process appears later because it's a process. Processes of time, yes? As Jesus said, we're in this world, but not of this world. We're in seeming a process, but we're not of a process. Yeah. So if you follow that inference, is like if the process is happening in time, we're not of time. So what? You could say you're timeless, but that's just a way of comparing time. You're whatever, but you're not of time. Yeah? So that which we're not, the mental process arises in time, and then it claims the seeing, the hearer, the feeling, the tasting, the toucher to imply the hearer, the feeler, the seer, the toucher, and the taster. So the verb of life, the verb of living, is used to imply there's a noun. That's basically the robbery. Yeah? And then, in my experience, there was beliefs that certain areas in this life, underneath the category of spirituality, would be immune to this takeover. So the mental process wouldn't be able to claim my meditation because it's so fucking noble, you know? Or wouldn't be able to meditate, claim my devotion because it's so pure. And it would, there's no way the mental process would touch the gold of emptiness, but it will. It will claim its own absence all the time. Yeah. So you'll have a sense of freedom from the bondage of self. The selfing will arise and say, I'm the one who's having that sense. So now a little bit of a free sample of what you are becomes an experience to what you're not. That's what it does. I've experienced my true self today. You can experience what's true because you are it. Yeah. We don't have the luxury to experience what we are. The only luxury that's afforded to us, and it's not achieved or it's not a privilege, it's just innately so, is to be it, because that's what we are. So there is no process to become what you are. Yeah? The becoming would be a way of hiding what you are. So trying to become being is the greatest way to hide that you're being. Yeah? Now, I didn't know this when I entered the fray of spirituality. First of all, it was very good for my self-esteem, my action figure, because the action figure had felt it done some terrible things in its little life of drug addiction and shit. And so how am I going to, balance that out? Let's try to be good. So I became willing to sit for 13 hours a day to meditate. I do a lot of stuff. And in a way, my sense of self got better. Yeah, I'm not robbing, cheating, stealing. I'm doing nice things, spending lovely, idyllic days at a temple in, Thailand, walking around in silence. I mean, I'm fucking not harming anyone at this point. Hey, that's an upgrade. So I felt much, much better. Yet, the whole while, and they just had a research put out. It's funny that meditation and doing yoga increases or reinforces the sense of self. Instead of doing what we believe it's going to do, which is to weaken it. You just feel better if you have a certain conditioning that if you meditate, you feel better about yourself, obviously. Or you do yoga, oh yeah, because your head's going, you're fucking lazy, you're fat, and then you do an hour, you feel that thing eases off a little bit, and you feel better. Now you may call it a spiritual experience, but really, is it? I don't know. It's just release because you did something that the mental accountant says, that's pretty good, so I'll give you an hour and a half, ease up on my attack on you all day, and you'll feel, wow. But then you sort of get addicted to it because you want to get that hit. And then it turns into a spiritual addiction. Yeah? And the addiction is used not to reinforce spirit, it's used to reinforce what you're not. So this is a great master puts it in it. I can't do it any better. See, but if I don't quote him, people won't hear me, really. This fuck, I'm from Long Island, New York. This guy wore diapers his whole life. I mean, he's got a lot of credibility, and he rightfully so. But I'd much rather throw a quote from him, because I've said the same thing thousands of times, and no one goes, ooh. But if you say, so-and-so said it, whoa! It's like when you're with a partner, she'll never hear any good advice from you. But if you say it to your friend, and then they say, oh, Bill is so amazing. Bill, what? I've said it to you 500 times. So I may be too familiar to be of real help. So Ramana Maharshi, if you don't know him, he's sort of like the patron saint of what we call non-duality now. One of them anyway. Nisargadatta, maybe Ramana Maharshi. So a lot of people wrote a lot of stuff about his presentations, and one of the common themes in most of the writings is this simple statement, which I believe is the beginning of the conceiving of mentality. The mental process conceives an idea. It comes up with an idea. And the idea is, it presupposes, which is a beautiful word, suppose, let's say assume, so I live most of my day on tons of assumptions, like the dishwasher broke and I assumed, well, it must be, I have no fucking expertise. I just throw out an idea, and let's move on to the next thing. But my assumptions have been proven to be pretty fucking off most of my life, so I'm just skating on a huge frozen lake of assumptions most of the day, and I seem to be successful, not getting caught, just sort of roam around. But here, so where would those assumptions and supposings arise at? I would say maybe the first assumption, or the first presupposing, which is the mental process pre-assumes you to be a non-existent thing. Yeah, this isn't existing of its own. Without the life force, you could have perfect kidneys, perfect everything, and you're not moving, you're not doing anything. So there's some quality that animates this that isn't produced by what's been animated. Yeah. So what's been animated isn't producing the animation. So there's a presupposing of this non-existent thing, and then suddenly that non-existent thing wants to get salvation. Sounds good, for the non-existent thing. Now, if you hear that, and the shoe fits, where do you go? Just sit with it for a while. Hey, am I seemingly in the act of a presupposing of a non-existent thing, and then that thing is crowned as me, and then that me starts looking for salvation, but for the non-existent thing, when obviously salvation is inherently based from the non-existent thing because it doesn't exist. So the salvation isn't some place you achieve after a bondage or something, it's prior to the idea of bondage. So you and I are inherently free from what? The non-existent thing. Why? It's non-existent. It wasn't like a great Norseman defeated it 800 years ago and he's going to come back with more fury. It's non-existent. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to take its pulse or live in the fear. It's going to come back because it was never actually here. Yeah. That's the point, the non-existent thing. All right, so he says, okay, if this is the case, if this is happening, which is the mental process, that's the act to me of being identified as a self. It's this act of happening. If the idea of being a non-existent thing is happening and there's a belief in that, then your spiritual practices themselves are being used to reinforce the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? That's a really nice point to sit with. Because this is really, humbly, this is like a spiritual shoe store. You may be thinking you're going to need hiking boots, a great tread, because it's going to be a long journey. But basically, we're going to put out some spiritual shoes. One of them is, hey, a presupposing a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation with nice thing. Try it on. If the shoe fits, wear it. That's the whole point. We're not, get that fucking shoe on. I don't care if you believe it or not. It's believing it isn't, believing is the booby prize. I'm just saying, hey, yeah, get over here. Yeah, there's one, all right? So, see, because when I heard this, and I may have heard it many times, but when I heard it, see, like Jesus says, for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, there is hopefully a point in time when you will have ears to hear and eyes to see, because you always do, but in time you may seem not to be able to. Yeah? Time is the great magician trick. Totally, completely. So, all right, suddenly you hear it. You hear it, or maybe you're reading it and it goes, whoop, it just stops you in your tracks. Hey, you've been found out, basically. Yeah? The heist, you've seen the heist. You caught the arm in the silverware, and you followed it back, and it was you. What? I've been playing policeman trying to catch this thief. When I catch the thief, fucking, it's the policeman. So it's a very weird thing. All right, so here. So it's a simple thing. Okay, if this condition is in place, and I'm humbly saying that the mental process is busily putting it in place every moment of conscious contact. It's busily putting it in place. Yeah? If this is in place, your spiritual practices themselves will be reinforcing the non-existing thing. How can they destroy it? How can you get out of what you're not in? Tell me, how can you get out of what you're not in? The whole wanting and the drive to get out is you believe you're in. Without the believing you're in, there wouldn't be all this fucking activity to get out. I'm serious. And this is what happens. You're really returned to a sense of ordinariness, in a way, because if people are here to get a new refined spirituality, you're not getting it from me. I'm fucking done with it all. I have no interest in any of it at all. Zip. So people will get, you know, all right, now that you do this, now it's time to fucking practice. I don't care. I'm not interested in it. Well, you've got to. No, I don't. You know. But the chips will fall where they may. Okay. You know, if I'm wrong and I have to face something, hey, sorry. You know, put me back in the roulette table again. I don't know. But I'm not. I just don't feel like picking up that carrot and sticking it in front of me and keep on keeping on. I feel it's like a slavery in a sense. Really, truly. So a lot of people think, oh, this is, and then I keep saying you're going to get nothing. And people, you know, they don't hear it because they're holding out for something. They are. I know this is going to, no, it isn't. It's going to be exactly how it is right now. Exactly how it is. But you'll lose interest in changing everything. Unless it's demanded to be changed, or if it's the seed assignment to change it. But you'll lose interest in it all. See, you can't lose interest by trying to lose interest. There's another, the knowledge isn't another way, all right, this is a sort of way of how to lose interest in losing interest. No, you can't. It's just, there's a loss of interest in those topics. That's all. Now, I don't know where. And then what happens is at times, no new topics arise to put the interest in. Yeah, they don't. The deck gets shuffled, and like the game seems to be paused for a while. The deck gets reshuffled, and then we get, all right, but now the interest and attention, in my observation as this, is truly producing a basis of ease and comfort. And the ability to travel lighter through a lot of fucking shit that I used to really flip out over. Yeah. It didn't seem I produced it, but I can express it. I'm expressing a change, but I didn't change. Yeah, I didn't promote or permit the change or force the change. I've been changed. You know, just by this, that which can be changed has been changed. The unchangeable doesn't freaking change. Where it can express change is here. So the unchangeable has expressed a change here. And it may not look like a giant firework display, but that's awesome. It's just a contentment and a sense of satisfaction as the base of every day, instead of an irritability, restless, and discontentment. It doesn't seem like much, but in time, it's got a huge amount of value. See, traveling light, oh, who cares in timelessness? But in time, traveling light's fucking pretty good. Because the possibility of traveling heavy is available in this dualistic dreaming, yeah? There's either a traveling heavy or a traveling light. You may have the same geographical scenario, but the real value is, did you travel heavy over it or travel light over it? And then there's an admittance that you cannot travel light as that presupposed non-existent thing. By seeing you're not that, this suddenly, the aura around this is acceptance. Yeah, it's acceptance. The urban renewal project is canceled, and the spiritual division of that project is fucking shut down. All the budgetary goes from there to now. Yeah, it does. No more fucking spiritual budgets for the next 5 years. So it's boom, and then you're here. And then when you're seemingly here, it tells you you've always been here, and all the shenanigans that you assumed had taken you out of it, or you believe could take you out of it. None of it's ever freaking happened. What you are is untouched by all the shit that's moving across the screen. The screen does not bleed when there's a war movie on it. It doesn't. It doesn't get wet when there's a soppy romantic story, yeah? It never laughs at a romantic comedy because there's no fucking comedy in it. So it's just there, never touched, just completely like this, like today's sky. There's not a cloud in it. Yet yesterday maybe there was 800,000 clouds in it. Yeah. Don't see a plane, let's say 20 planes. Yeah. Is there any mark left by those planes? You know? Did a cloud ever fixate itself in the sky for like 4 weeks? That's the same fucking cloud. No. Everything comes and goes in the space, and yet it doesn't affect the space. Why not? Why is it so difficult to allow that to apply to this event? I don't know. See, you would like to become like this guy, but most mental states don't want to be this guy. They love to become something. They don't want to be something. Because they are asserting that there's something already, yeah? And the one thing that will completely deny the whole story is being. So the last place they want to arrive at it being, that's why they'll promote you looking for it for fucking lifetime. Because while you're looking for the being, all the spotlight is on you. There's no spotlight on being. It's on the one who's becoming. It's like a huge heroic odyssey. Fuck. So, claiming message over your head. Where can you see the example or the marks or the footprint of claiming? In the English language, the word my. The my will tell you what's happening. A problem, my problem. Totally different. Yeah? Thoughts, my thoughts. Totally different. Feelings, my feelings. You see, it's like that robbery in the beginning of computers, I think. These people devised a way to take like a quarter of a penny out of all these transactions. No one noticed it for like 11 years because it was so small. But after a while, they had amassed a lot of fucking coin, so to speak, yeah? So here, the selfing is claiming everything that happens. All the thoughts are assumed or presupposed to be about you, or you're the thinker. Completely. All the feelings, my feelings. Yeah? So there's all these fish that are never caught. Feelings come and go. You're thinking you're the fisherman of them. You're saying, these are my feelings. I've caught them all. You know, they're not. They come and go. Yeah? The story about them doesn't, because that's the mental state. The mental state uses time. Yeah? So something happens, and then the mental state puts time into it, and it's like, it always happens. Yeah? When someone feels bad, it's going to be for fucking ever. It creates a lot of exquisite suffering with time. And it wouldn't be bad if it created exquisite joy, but when some things are good, it says it's not going to last. They're going to find out I'm a fraud. But if you feel a little bad, it's a lifelong depression's coming. You see? The theme or the bias is too extreme to make... You're not going to make friends with it. It's not, oh, come on, Biff, come on, everything's cool. No. If you see a thought as a thought, it's much different than looking at it as mine. Totally. And so let's say you have 8,000 thoughts today. Let's say you notice 1,000 thoughts, and let's put a weight on the thoughts. Let's say a thought is an ounce. So you've had 1,000 thoughts, that would be how many ounces? I don't know, how many pounds? And so you'd be traveling with that amount of poundage. Now let's say by the word my, you inject a pound of meaning into the thought. So now you have 1,000 thoughts that weigh 1,000 pounds. That's traveling fucking heavy. You can't weigh it, but it's weighing on you, yes? You can't weigh a thought. This is a heavy thought. You can't. But the heaviness that it can imply is coming from us, obviously. So the my, if you could just see, you can't see it as, oh, I've been bound. You've got to see the bonding. You have to see it as a verb. Your bondage as a noun, you miss it. You see it as an activity. Yeah? You can see it. You can see what it's doing. So the my is inserted. The my changes the meaning of everything that comes after it. Yeah? Girlfriend, I'm having a great time. I'm playing pool, hanging out, da-da-da. Then one day, she's crowned my girlfriend. I'm up on stalking charges. A few months later, I'm going in her emails because I think I deserve to know what my girlfriend is doing. I don't deserve to know a girlfriend, but my girlfriend. My, yeah? So you think this is random? The my is happening all day. It's like that taking a quarter of a penny out of every transaction. Every activity is being claimed to imply you. After a while, there's a whole lot of you that's gotten amassed. And the funny thing is, the you now starts having its own self-interest. And it doesn't want to be discovered. Yeah? And now it wants to be right about you. Yeah? And it's invested in the story of becoming you, to a point where it has complete contempt to anything else coming in. Anything else introduced to it, it will absorb it. If it can't absorb it, it'll just fucking cut it loose. Oh, fucking I know that. Yeah, I know that doesn't, I know that isn't an answer. Yeah. So you see it. So if you see it, what becomes clear? What becomes clear is you're not that. That's all. And then all that direction, all the misdirection of you located at where you're not, looking for what you are, yeah, shifts into seeing what you're not from what you are. It's just that's how it goes. You know, simple little correction. Yeah. Instead of all the attention, interest on what you're coming from what you're not, the mental state places us as a historical action figure. Yeah. So you're coming from what you're not, and some of us are looking for what we are from what we're not. Yeah. If you shift that, at the same moment, this seems to be happening, this is an interpretation, the same moment, you are seeing the activity that implies what you're not, and you're fucking not spending any time looking for what you are, because you're being what you are. So to an extent, there'll be 0.0 sign of any spiritual urge. It'll be completely erased. It'll be 0. All right, let's take the spiritual test. He doesn't have a fucking spiritual bone in his body anymore. Hallelujah. Now a lot of people say, fuck. But no. Yeah. I'm putting my money on that bet, because this is where this whole event brought me to. And since years and years and years ago, I haven't looked for any answer, any other answer. I haven't looked for a revised answer, or an answer with 800 commentaries, or a supercharged answer, or a radical extreme answer. Just a fucking working answer. And it became the last answer in time. And that last answer is a damn good answer concerning this topic, because it takes away any need for any other answer, basically. You're just done. I mean, done, completely done. So a lot of times I feel like when I travel, it's like I'm selling cod at a fucking pork store, you know? So I don't know. I gotta tell them, hey, this isn't pork. It's cod. No, I don't believe I've said it's pork, but you seem to implying that it's pork you're looking for. This isn't it. You know, so it isn't. I gotta. So you'll truly get nothing, and because we're such a small scale operation, don't have a board of trustees or anything. Oh, you've got to change your message. You're not touching enough people. I don't give a shit. I want to at least be true as much as possible to what's downloading, and keep it an independent bakery. I don't want to listen to other people and come up with some fucking great idea. Just put it out there, and it seems like it's working. Because all of you are here, like it or not, and I've done my job. I can go on and on, what happens is you attempt to say what can't be said by really describing what you're not. That's the only way you can get a sort of a glimpse of what you are, because you can't see what you are. But I truly believe in seeing the activity of what you're not, it almost like gives you an intimation of what you are. The closest I can get to what I am as an experience is by seeing what I'm not. That's my feeling. You know, and one little intimation goes a long, 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 long way in time. Yeah. Its effects, it's like that imaginary, the lightest pebble creates the greatest little tremor on the pool of consciousness, yeah? It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, so now you're completely in your life, completely. I don't go over, when I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, what did I miss today? Nothing. What should I have done else? Well, I like to learn. I actually figure, well, I could have done that, but basically, I never get gypped anymore. Yeah, I'm at every meal life has to offer. You may like it, you may not like it. It doesn't matter. So, any questions? This isn't good. Ooh, yeah.
That's not really a question. It's more like you say a lot. Seems repetition. It's not, apparently.
Yeah, in time, repetition is very helpful. Repetition can only be in time, because you're attempting to get through this. The mental states have a huge defensive system, because whatever you hear, it's being used to claim you're the hero of it. So that's how the message gets neutered so much. It's not based on the message, it's on how it's being heard. So the message, you're a lion, should easily reach you as a lion. I mean, it's very direct. Hey, you're a lion. So, and if you are a lion, how hard is that? It would take you 8 years to you'd hit. Yeah. But the thing is, the message of your lion's getting claimed by the mental sheepness. And so the sheep can only translate it into, I can become like a lion. That's not the message. It can be a message, but it's not what I feel is coming through. Yeah. I don't believe this is a path for the sheep to become a lion. I believe it's a recognizing you're not a sheep, and therefore what do you find yourself to be? A lion. Yeah. Now, maybe you'll just get a blip here and there, but in time, basically the cat's out of the bag. It's gonna, those moments where you realize it's always been this way, in time we'll get more, in a sense, and hopefully they'll stabilize a little for you, where you'll feel like it's always been this way for a lot of time. Doesn't matter because it's not of time, but here in time, it's really a good basis for traveling light. And really, that's where the value is. There's no value in truth or awareness in awareness. It doesn't. It's here where it can seem not to be so. It's got a huge value. Yeah, and I humbly believe there's just a misdirection. The mental state is directing the attention and interest to be used to keep reinforcing the idea of being a someone. And the mental state, its whole processes are based, and self-centeredness as a system is based on you and I as being a body that does, that thinks, that it feels, that it doesn't do, it does that. It's always, it's like the alpha and the omega, and it's a false reference. So the mental state, the memories picture you as a body, the thought system thinks of you and thinks of others as bodies, and the perceptual apparatus sees things. It sees bodies. It doesn't see no thing, it sees things. So the whole system is the dreaming mechanism. And then in the system, it doesn't see that it's the one constructing time, but construction of time is happening, yeah? And space. So we're the vehicle, we're the ride. We're not on a ride, we are the ride of the dreaming. Yeah? This is the ride of the dreaming. Labradors aren't having the same experience of quote-unquote time as we are, Labradors. nor are babies. When I was young, I had no idea of time, so I wasn't worrying, will I be playing next week? I had no idea of next week. So that which people want to see as a great goal, they got into the moment, was the obviousness of life. I can't be out of a moment. That's how, see, if you want an experience to establish, you have to see it's not an experience. See, if you see that you have not achieved getting into the moment, but you saw the impossibility of ever being out of a moment, that stabilizes, yeah? It looks like you had you're having the experience of being in the moment, but it wasn't the way people believe. Well, you fucking must be really working hard. No, not at all. I've just had a deep realization I can't be out of any moment. Yeah. To me, that weird logic works seamlessly all the way through. Any more questions? No. I think we're the talk the least amount of questions, which I'm proud of. Because the funny thing is, in my view, the answer is asking the questions. So if you starve the questioning, maybe you'll realize it's the answer. Yeah, because it's weird for the answer to look for an answer. It's crazy to me. To me, it is. Yeah. And I know when I was going to satsang, there was a few points where I'd share, and then I knew one day that was the end of ever asking a question. It was just like moot point, never has arisen again. You know? You know? Yeah. So, hey, well, let's pass the basket.